Hey guys, Majin Obama here, and I wanted to put together a video talking about my thoughts and feelings on the project formerly known as L after the Alpha Lab that just wrapped up. And to be honest with you, I played quite a bit from opening until now, and I guess I have some questions that I was asking myself in a previous video I made after I got invited to go to the Riot campus to play. I had some lingering questions, and some of those are answered, others still linger. Let's just get started in talking about it. I still feel the same way I did the first time I played it. This game is, I cannot stress this enough, it is a product of the people that make it. That means if you are the kind of player who enjoys MVCI, if you enjoy Battle for the Grid, if you enjoy BBTAG, Skullgirls, DBFZ, and then I'd say like to a lesser extent, maybe like other Marvel titles and, Strive, those kinds of games, I think this game might appeal to you. It's trying to satisfy a very hardcore niche while also trying to appeal to people who are inherently not interested in these games. I can appreciate that, and I also appreciate, I really like how they've already done video responses to some of the issues that I think some people were having with this Alpha Lab. It didn't take long, maybe like 30 minutes before people were posting up pretty raw stuff with Echo, the RES1 button loops, all that kind of stuff. I think kind of like the dam kind of bursted a little bit early, and it kind of created almost like too much, like an overwhelming presence of that kind of stuff on Twitter early on. This Alpha Lab, I got the impression that they kind of kept it close to the chest on this one. This was mostly fighting game player based until they opened up the codes and you saw a lot more people start playing it and booting it up. But we did see a couple people, I think from League of Legends or other games, they gave it a shot, and they kind of had some of the issues that maybe I was alluding to, or I thought they might have, where this kind of game, because of how offense is, how it might take people a while to kind of start using the defensive mechanics of the game, because there are so many system mechanics to this game. Again, although it does have some aspects of the gameplay that are intuitive in that you can just kind of go LMH a special. As you develop your characters, that might deviate, that might branch off, right? But just the sheer number of system mechanics makes it kind of hard to, I think people who don't normally play these kinds of games, it can be kind of almost like too much and kind of daunting, make it seem like more than what it actually is. I'd say like polarizing would be the word I'd use, is like polarizing reception, and that's for fighting game players. In my mind, what I still think is like one of the big driving forces behind this game is the IP strength, the package development, but also the novelty of the 2v2 gameplay aspect. Is that enough to overcome the nature of this kind of game? And part of that nature still hasn't been revealed to us. It's going to take a while before that really shows, but I think we saw a taste of it in the Alpha Lab. And what I mean by that is, like, this is going to be combo game. This is going to be a grimy offense. Is going to be very brutal. You're going to have to really learn the defensive mechanics and how to use them well to be able to even give yourself room to breathe and give yourself a shot at being able to swing back on some of these teams. But I think this game is more fun to play, and it's more interesting, and it's something that sets it apart from its contemporaries, the 2v2 aspect of this game, because of how it works, where you have to coordinate with the other player. This isn't a new concept either, right? This has been done with Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Smash Brothers, they have a history or culture, that revolves around running doubles competition, right? My question is, what can they do to the 2v2 experience for this game that would elevate it over the experience of some of those other titles that I mentioned? And I think some of that probably has to come from integration with different systems online. I think maybe online playability is where that's going to really come into play, or maybe what options that they develop into the package that will kind of encourage that or make that easier, or add certain bells and whistles that might make the experience a little bit sharper than it would be, logging onto your Wii or, whatever y'all play, Smash Brothers, I don't know. But that was something that I thought about. The lobbies. Although this Alpha Lab had region-locked lobbies, you did get a chance to try them out in public in your respective region, and I spent a good bit of time in the JP one. I saw a lot of the top boys, so Goichi, Fenrich, a lot of the Marvel players out here. Surprise, it's like I said, right? Poverty players and Granblue players, oddly enough. They really seem to be kind of going in on this Alpha Lab out here for the community out here, but I really liked how they showed ongoing matches on the screen in the lobby. I thought that was pretty cool. These lobbies are obviously inspired by Arc System Works lobbies pre-Strive, and for that reason, I think they're fine, as long as everything functions, which for the most part it did, in my experience. Maybe you guys felt differently. Let me know in the comments below. But overall, I thought they were okay. They were fine. They were good enough. It worked. I have a pretty low bar for this kind of stuff, and I think I kind of got a sense for the direction they want to go with cosmetics and stuff like that. Being able to like dress up your avatar, that's probably something that they're going to focus on down the line. Just that's just something that I thought about when I booted up. But overall, pretty pleasant. I don't really have any complaints in that department. Now I want to talk about some of the things that kind of these are just like shower thoughts or things that kind of stuck with me. And the first is, it's unfortunate that for me, I like motion inputs. I generally think it's not that big a deal. Unfortunately, the one motion input, and I hate some KOF inputs where it's like quarter circle back, half circle forward, quarter circle, whatever. I hate some of those, or I dislike them. But the one motion input that I dislike the most is the one that they have in this game. I hate 2-2, which is just a down input, and you have to do it, and you have to do it very precisely in this game. It's a high demand, and it's something that really kind of caught up with me during this alpha lab. It's just kind of unfortunate. That's a personal problem, but it's just like, oh man, that kind of thing. But the other thing is, this is maybe a little bit picky. These next two things are a little picky, I'll say that. But first, I want to say the music in the game, the menu music is cool. The lobby music is cool. Problem is, this game has a Street Fighter 6 problem, where I can think of one song that plays during matches, and it's kind of like catchy, has a nice tune, but the rest of it kind of just like, I can't say it's memorable. But the menu music tracks and the lobby songs, those were generally pretty good. I like those, but I need them to pump a little bit more into whatever the OST is, I think, for the match gameplay. That brings me to the other thing too, is the control scheme. I think they need to change the S button is fine. But when you have S1 and S2, just name the S2 something else, man. Call it ability, whatever. Trait, anything is better than S1 and S2. That's a very weird nomenclature thing. I don't know, but and this will play into my next point. Sometimes by trying to simplify something at the ground level, you run the risk of making it more complicated than what it actually is. I'm not saying this or preaching this to the public, the developers or anything like that, or you guys or at home. It's something more like in general. Just something to be conscious of. Sometimes when we have something at the ground floor, maybe rather than try to shift our direction or the way that we teach it or the way the environment, whatever, a different approach, it's easy to fall into the trap of trying to simplify something so much that it actually becomes more complicated than what the base problem is. Again, this game is very polarizing, I think, because even though it doesn't have motion inputs, it's simple input style, which again, if it's built on the skeleton that Rising Thunder had, I don't know what to really credit that to. That might have been a core design concept from jump. I would assume it was for that reason, given the Cannon Brothers, obviously, Rising Thunder was their thing, right? There's a very fine line where you want to take input and heed what people who are trying your product are saying and how they're feeling. But there's also, I think, a risk of doing it too much to the point where the original vision can become skewed because of too many voices. You know what I mean? I can think of cases where there's too much of one or not enough of the other. For example, Strive, it took them 2 years to make some of the adjustments they made because they were like, yeah, well, you guys were complaining in the feedback, but we know better, and that sucks, but also you don't want to create situations where it's I feel like almost NRS and even Tekken can be like this sometimes, where people will complain about something so much that maybe there's pressure there to change something or address something too quickly. I guess what I'm trying to say is I really hope that the team behind this game, I hope that they explore and try to find that fine line, because while I like that they're out there and they're putting themselves out there and kind of engaging with people and interfacing people, they're not running away from the feedback or criticism or anything like that. They're definitely putting themselves out there. I want them to make the game they want to make, because I don't think that this group of tag fighter players turned into game creators, there's not going to be a lot of chances like this where they get pretty much a Hail Mary shot down the field. I want them to make the game that they want to make, and I want them to support it with the best infrastructure and features that they possibly can, and go from there. You know what I mean? Maybe then afterwards we could take a look at some stuff like that. Maybe it might deter some people, but I don't want them to bend over too hard backwards to try to create or swerve their vision to fit an idea, a loose idea that people that might not just probably naturally just won't be interested in the game anyway. Like I said, these players who some of you might even recognize from just being around the community for long enough, a lot of them, they have history with some of the games that I mentioned earlier, be it, DBFZ, MVCI, previous Marvel games, Marvel 3, Marvel 2. It's not strange that they made a game that kind of caters to, or I guess really draws on what they really like to play. And it does kind of occupy a now kind of like vacant space in the current game lineup, right? There's not really like a new successor to that tag fighter slot. And maybe this is it. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. But I hope to see next time, maybe the next time they run a beta or something, how we can develop, I think, around that 2v2 aspect. I know some people are naysaying on it, they're put off by whatever. I do think it's the thing that kind of is going to be the unique draw to this game. And the other thing, of course, to me is the cast. So far, we had 6 characters to play with in this Alpha Lab. My big question mark is how many characters is this game going to launch with? 2v2, you're going to need, I think, a larger cast to make the game feel really solid. It's going to need a diverse array of characters as well. And just by nature of the franchise, I think that's also just something that they have to try to aim for. And also because of the simple input system, it does a lot, I think, if you can get a lot of characters with a lot of different styles. That's something that's really going to help, I think, develop the cast and make the game feel a little bit broader. But anyway, these are just shower thoughts and kind of my afterthoughts from the Alpha Lab. Did you guys get a chance to play? What did you guys think? Was there anything that was off-putting to you guys, or was there anything that you didn't like? I started playing Braun, mostly, Braun and Ari, but I'm looking forward to seeing what other kinds of characters that they put out, because the Echo Yasuo and Ari army, they're out there. I want to see how they do Jinx. If they make her like Cable in Marvel 2, I would be pretty pleased. I'm looking for some kind of character that can zone a little bit better, you know what I mean? But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll holler at you guys later. Be easy.